This is WWE superstar Drew McIntyre, and you're listening to the WWE Podcast.
The champ is
the one that everybody wants, me.
It's going to WrestleMania. Claymore!
Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass. This is my iron. You're gonna acknowledge me.
What is going on, everybody, and welcome back to another main event review with your host Daniel. And boy, WrestleMania has flown by. We are now getting ready for the first PLE of the wrestling season for WWE, with Backlash fast approaching in less than a week away from the day we're recording this. And we're going to be recording and reviewing the main events episode for the events that occurred on last week's Raw and on the SmackDown before. So really excited to get into that. There has been some updates in regards to the PLE that's happening in Australia. They have confirmed the dates, and to my, I guess, saddest news, or to my sadness actually, I'm unfortunately unable to make the SmackDown or the PLE because the marathon is going to be on the 12th of October. The PLE is going to be on the 11th, and unfortunately there is a massive time difference between Perth and Melbourne, about of 3 hours, so there aren't any late flights, and even if I were to make a late flight, I wouldn't be able to make it in time for the marathon. So what I'm going to do is hopefully get a ticket to go to Raw on the 13th and leave on that Sunday night after the marathon. I'll be able to catch the main event, which will be before Raw, and hopefully I get to see John Cena there. I highly doubt that he's going to be there on Monday Night Raw, but I'm hoping that he will show up. But nevertheless, still excited to go to a Raw, and very excited that WWE is going to be hosting 3 shows here. It's never been done before. I did wish that the PLE would have been held at, it's at RAC Arena, which only holds about 15,000 people. But last time they did it at Optus Stadium, which held 60,000 people, and I wish that they still had the event there. But again, not complaining. It is the weekend of Rhea Ripley's birthday, so it does make sense as to why they chose those dates. It just happened to be really inconvenient for myself, but still excited to go. I'm gonna get tickets for Raw and definitely attend that, get my flights and hopefully a ticket. They are pretty expensive given that it's only 15k allowed in, but we're gonna try nevertheless. But I guess without further ado, we can jump straight into our main event with the first match, and that being Dragon Lee taking on Karrion Kross. The crowd reacted very well to Karrion Kross, and looking at all the YouTube comments, 95% of it was basically saying to give Karrion Kross a push. So for those that aren't aware, Karrion Kross, probably the night after night 2 of WrestleMania, went on the post show on one of the podcasts and pulled out an extremely viral promo on this podcast show that got shared on X, which had like 10 million views. And to me, arguably the best promo of the year so far. Slightly beating CM Punk's promo after John Cena sold his soul, calling out him and The Rock. But basically, Karrion Kross going in there and basically, calling out Logan Paul, calling out Creative, calling out everyone for not getting his opportunities despite how much he's been given to the company. And you could see that there was some truth and malice to that promo, which made it, 1, viral, and 2, very appealing for people, and that caused a massive pop in the crowd for when he came out. And despite this, for some reason, they gave him a loss to Dragon Lee of all people, which I'm trying to think the positive. I'm trying to think this is a way to hype him up, get people more frustrated that he's not getting the push that he deserves. I'm trying to think like that, but at the same time, we're all ready for it. We're all ready for Karrion Kross to finally get the push he deserves. I've mentioned on this show that he's got the look, he's got the personality, the way he comes into the ring. He's just perfect for someone that can be a big character in WWE, and he really does deserve a push, and I think it's time that they do it. I think he's on his contract year, so I'll be very disappointed if they fumble it here, and it doesn't look good when he's losing to Dragon Lee. But again, really trying to look at the positives. It was a roll-up victory, so for whatever that means, it's not as though he got beaten cleanly. So that might also just tie into the fact that he's going to get frustrated, he's going to blow over and really turn another leaf. Because losing up to a rollout, surprising victory for Dragon Lee is extremely disappointing. But I don't understand why he hasn't been pushed earlier, to be honest. I think he's very much capable of doing some big things in WWE. So I'm just hoping this is a one-off. If I do see another loss, I'm going to start to worry and start to think that he might get released. And just off topic, speaking of the releases, so WWE did announce a long list of superstars that were released, and Karrion Kross was not on that. So that's some good news. Karrion Kross was not on that list, but who was on that list was Dakota Kai, Cora Jade, and Braun Strowman to headline. There was a few others as well. I'm pretty sure Shayna Baszler was on there too. But I think, for my surprise, Cora Jade getting released was a big one, and so was Dakota Kai. I thought Dakota Kai deserved a bit of a push and was doing some pretty good things, but I guess it's really hard to make a case for him because they didn't really do much in their time there. I think Braun Strowman did really well in pushing Jacob Fatu and actually that feud with Bronson Reed, but there wasn't anything that was going to go on further for him. So just a quick touch up on those releases. They're all justified. It's pretty brutal, but that's the nature of the business. And as mentioned, Karrion Kross is not on there, so I'm trying to think that they're going to have plans for him moving forward. And doesn't really start well, but it could lead to something there. But Dragon Lee gets the victory. Does it help him? Not really. There's a lot of luchadors right now in WWE, and I think Rey Fenix and Penta are going to get the headlines, and even the unmasked luchadors as well. So doesn't really do much for Dragon Lee. I don't think he's getting the pop that other luchadors have been getting. He just remains to be Rey Mysterio's, right-hand man. We then move on to Raw, where we get Becky Lynch making her entrance, basically addressing the heel turn that she did on Lyra Valkyria. Basically, she mentioned that she attacked Bayley backstage, and the reason basically as to why she did turn on Lyra Valkyria is because she was the friend of Bayley. She mentioned that Bayley has been attacking her since 2019, has been jealous of her, always been mentioning that she's always wanted to be a bigger star, and Becky Lynch is the biggest star. If it wasn't for Becky Lynch injecting herself into the match, Lyra would have never won the championship with her. And then also mentioning that she basically told Lyra to ditch that bitch, which was a pretty crazy promo. Pretty surprising that she went there, but it was too late for Lyra, as Becky mentioned. Lyra then comes in, basically says that Bayley warned her about Becky, that she'll do anything to get to the top, and was extremely disappointed and thought that the dream could be alive with two Irish women superstars winning tag team champions, but she was obviously wrong. And then she mentioned that she was going to pay for what she did to Becky Lynch. Then Becky Lynch got off the stage, and then that led to, I guess, Lyra Valkyria saying to fight right now. Becky Lynch then replying and saying that it only matters when it matters to Becky, and it doesn't matter in Kansas City, which was a good pop, which is a good way to kind of bring some heat onto the crowd. And before I finish to what happens, I really like Becky Lynch pulling out the promo, screaming. She really did a good job in getting a bit of heat there, which was something that I was concerned about, because I think Becky Lynch has struggled to be a heel in the past, but there's a decent storyline here for her to kind of get over on being a heel, and there's definitely some long-term kind of ideas for a program with Bayley in the future, which will get Bayley back up. I think this works for everyone. But anyway, Lyra Valkyria then offers to fight at Backlash, and she's going to put her title on the line, to which Becky Lynch does accept. So we're going to see Becky Lynch and Lyra Valkyria fight it out at Backlash, which is going to be pretty interesting. I suppose that Lyra will win the match, it is the first serious opponent that Lara Valkyria has had for the Intercontinental title. And when she came out and did the promo, she held her own very well. And I think she did a really good job. So this is going to be a good opportunity for Lara to really put herself over and kind of get the heat that she deserves. People are starting to chant to her tune, which is good. And Becky Lynch is going to be obviously helping Lara Valkyria's career here with a superstar that is well renowned. And eventually we're going to lead to her with Bayley. So we'll have to wait and see as to what happens there. But again, Lara Valkyria gets a bit of a push, gets a storyline that's a bit more interesting, something that's going to, I guess, get her to the next step. Because again, when she did win the title, and although she has been good since she's come into the main roster, there hasn't been any storylines for her. So this is going to be something that is going to help her out in the long term, as mentioned. We then go on to SmackDown, where we see John Cena in the ring with Randy Orton. Randy Orton basically taunting John Cena and saying, like, how dare he disrespects his family and disrespects the fans to take the title away. And Randy Orton basically calls him out to defend the title on SmackDown. However, John Cena replies that he wants to defend at Backlash, where that will be Randy's hometown. And he wants the best of Randy Orton there for that match. Basically saying that when he fails, he will basically expose him there. And then while that's happening, John Cena mentions that this is the closest Randy will get to the title, throws it at him, and then delivers a cheap shot. Then starts stomping him on the ground for about 15 times, which was great. It was great to see. It's just refreshing when we talk about John Cena's heel turn and him as a heel. It's just cool to see him just attack people. Like, okay, the promos, people not necessarily are booing him 100%, but the real heel heat comes from when he's cheap shotting his opponents and just brutally attacking them. And that was a good demonstration there with those stomps. However, as Randy Orton's on the floor, John Cena looks for his new signature move, we would say, grabbing the title and trying to whack him in the face with it. Randy Orton does duck and gives him an RKO. So just some good motivation there to give us all a belief and some false hope that Randy Orton is going to win the title. But I can 100% confirm that it's not going to happen. And with Crown Jewel being confirmed and them saying John Cena is going to be there, they've pretty much said that John Cena is not going to drop the title till October or November. So just remember that, guys. So it's all about now seeing how believable it is or how close it will be for John Cena to lose the title and how he's gonna cheat his way through winning it all. So it's going to start with Randy Orton, which I am excited about, and I do understand why they've decided to do this, obviously being at Randy Orton's hometown. But a lot of people would have preferred this to be kind of the final match closing in. That's not to say it won't happen down the line, but again, it's just coming really early for my liking, especially how big these two rivals have been. Like, I remember growing up watching these two go at each other for ages, always being on John Cena's side, but this time it's going to be extremely different to what we've seen, which is exciting for that matter. But again, so early in is kind of half feels about it. And we all know that John Cena is going to keep the title, so there's no kind of surprise element there. Or not, maybe WWE can do a full turn for us here, but I highly doubt that. But again, that match is going to be occurring. Randy Orton looking strong, which is no surprise, trying to make it believable there. We then get a number one contendership match on Raw with the War Raiders taking on the Judgment Day of Finn Balor and JD McDonough. We did have Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods on commentary, and they were pretty funny, I'm not going to lie. It was surprising that they were criticizing Ivar for being fat and basically saying that the only reason why people like him is because he's fat and he does those moves, which was quite funny, but again, very harsh as well, and very surprised that they did go there. But there were good value on the commentary. We did see some pretty good moves. It was good to see JD McDonough back into wrestling as well after that horrific head crushing move that when he was trying to do the moonsault landing on the table. It's just good to have him back and recovering and faster than I thought. But again, the War Raiders get the victory here due to Penta's interference. him getting involved in the match as well. So a lot for him to do there. He is going to have a match with JD McDonough next week, but there was a bit of a backstage interaction with Chad Gable, and I think they're going to go into a program with El Grande Americano there. So a lot for Penta now. No title involvements, but still a lot for him to be involved in. And as for the Judgment Day, obviously we're going to wait till Finn Balor eventually disbands that. He's obviously not good with JD McDonough either, because he returned without telling Finn Balor, and he also didn't even tell Finn that they were going to be in a match as well. So there is a lot of tension there. I'm very surprised that JD McDonough is going to be siding with Dom in the Judgment Day. It's given that them two are so close. But again, it does fuel the storyline and makes the separation a lot more interesting when it does eventually happen. We are gonna get that. So we'll just have to wait and see as to how and when exactly will that happen. We then go to a main event. We get the classic Alpha Babes of the Alpha Academy going up against American Made. So another one of these matches, kind of getting over just seeing these four perform. But the Alpha Academy do get the victory here with the big senton from Akira Tozawa. And as it looks like the way it proceeds right now, American Made are not getting anything for them at the moment. There's no storyline. They don't seem to have any personality. I know Brutus Creed is trying to do these kind of like fake laughs in promos and stuff. But it seems as though that Ivy Nile and American Made as a whole are just jobbers at the moment. It is all about Chad Gable. It is all about El Grande Americano. And he's not really being involved with American Made. So I don't really know what their plans are with this group. Like, obviously, they're extremely talented in the ring. There are college wrestlers in the past. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't really know what's going to happen with them. Like, they take a loss here to Alpha Academy, who aren't really doing much. There was a promo that was actually put on Main Event with Rusev basically saying that he has motives to basically crush the enemies that didn't reach their full potential like him. And I found that very good. I think I like that Rusev has come back and there is a motive and a mission that he has. And that is to, basically beat the people out of their potential. Whether that is relative or not, whether that actually will work, it's not the point for me. I think the point is that Rusev has come with a purpose and a reason. Obviously, he was seen as a Russian in the past, and also, as he mentioned, with Lana, he has no ties to women now. He's got one simple job, and that is to do what he set out to do. So the first victim is Otis, and it does make a lot of sense because Otis does have a lot of potential to be a big superstar, but he chooses to be part of Alpha Academy as a play show and entertainment for main events. So yeah, we're going to see what happens. Maybe he'll influence Otis to really heat his full potential. But they'll have a match next week on Raw, and that'll be Rusev's debut, which I'm excited about. It's good to see Rusev back in WWE. I remember when he first came, he wasn't pinned for ages, and they were finding ways to like not have him pinned, especially in that Authority versus John Cena Survivor Series match where he did get counted out. That was pretty cool. So they did have the Rusev Day for him as well. People do like him. People are happy to see him back. So yeah, very excited for that as well. And then we get on to the final segment, which is the main event of Raw. But we do start with the start of the show where Seth Rollins comes out basically saying he is the future of the industry. And we get Sami Zayn, of all people, interrupting, which I found quite surprising. But again, very interesting. Get Sami Zayn back in kind of the main event status in Raw and something relevant. Especially when we really thought that he was going to turn on Jey Uso, which didn't happen. But I think a program for the future to get Sami Zayn back up there. But basically he mentions that Seth Rollins is basically no different than CM Punk and Roman Reigns, taking Paul Heyman on his side and basically saying that, he's basically a hypocrite. Seth Rollins doesn't take lightly to those words, basically threatens Sami Zayn that because he's his friend and because he loves him, he needs to move to SmackDown to avoid anything to happen with this new group. He then does look at Bron Breakker and says if he looks at him like that, he's going to do something about it. To which nothing happens, but Seth Rollins does say to Sami Zayn, to leave it at the end of the night. So come back to the end of the night with a decision, and hopefully it's the right one for Sami Zayn. And then we get to a quick backstage segment where Paul Heyman, to make this interesting, because we all think that when that first promo came out, it's like, why would Sami Zayn leave? He's not going to be scared of Seth Rollins and Bron Breakker. But what made it a bit interesting was when Paul Heyman came back and basically said that if he does go to SmackDown, he will be next in line for a WWE Championship match with John Cena and Randy Orton, which makes it rather tempting. Obviously, Sami Zayn has never won a world title and hasn't been in that position to win one in a long time. The last time was with Gunther on, I think, a Monday Night Raw, where we all knew that he wasn't going to win it. So that was like the offer there for him to move to SmackDown. We then transition into the end of the show, and with Seth Rollins making the decision, but he obviously elects not to do it, basically saying to him that he will win a world title and he will earn it himself, and basically said to Seth Rollins to go to hell. And then we had Bron Breakker come out, and this was the first time we saw Bron Breakker come out with Paul Heyman, the wise man, behind him. And I'm just really upset that it cut to commercial on Netflix, because that was such a big moment for WWE. Everyone has been waiting for Bron Breakker to team up with Paul Heyman, and as they come out the ring and you see Paul Heyman behind him, they just cut to commercial. And I'm just like, why would you do it in that moment where we get to see Paul Heyman for the first time with Bron Breakker? Now, I know we're going to see him again, and it's going to happen without commercial breaks. I get it. But for a first-time moment, I really wanted to see the full entrance. But nevertheless, we get the match, and the match ends up in a no contest, basically ref ruling out Sami Zayn, because he basically ate 4 spears from Bron Breakker, which was quite brutal. I got to give respect to Sami Zayn. He takes a lot of hits. Obviously, the last most notable one was when he was fighting Kevin Owens at Elimination Chamber. But respect to him for taking 4 super spears from Bron Breakker. I couldn't imagine taking one after seeing Speed do it as well. So again, yeah, that was crazy. But Seth Rollins then comes into the ring, gives him a curb stomp, and basically they just flex their muscles of this new faction group. And I did mention last week I was very excited for this group, and still am excited. But one thing that I will say, and this is probably, I don't know if it's just me, but my vibe around it is that yes, the group is powerful, yes, the group is strong, but in my mind, I'm just waiting for the eventual thing to happen where Bron Breakker just turns on Seth Rollins. And like, that's what's going to happen. And like, that's my vibe at the moment. And it's, for me, it's still too early to think like that. But for some reason, I'm thinking like that this early. It just doesn't seem like these two are going to last long. And it doesn't seem like Bron Breakker is going to be all that loyal. Yeah, obviously we know in storylines, not all factions and everything start strong. But you can just see this happening. You can just see that. And I think the good thing about it is obviously they want to push Bron Breakker to the moon, put a rocket on him and everything, which is extremely exciting. It's good to see him in the main event. But at the same time, I don't want to feel that that's going to happen. I want to really see these two work together and really dominate. And another thing as well, I don't want to just see Bron Breakker as a dog and as someone that's just Seth Rollins' dirty work cleaner. Like, yes, I do understand that's his role, and I do still want him to do it, but at the same time, I still want him to be himself and his own person. Still being able to deliver promos, still being able to be a top guy. So I'm really gonna see how that goes about. Again, they are talking about bringing another member. I don't think that's gonna happen, but we never know. I did see something that Backlash, the last 2 Backlashes, they announced new members for, I think last year's one was the New Bloodline, and then the year before, I can't remember, but there was a new member of a faction announced. Oh, the Judgment Day. I'm pretty sure, I think it was Finn Balor that got announced into the Judgment Day at Backlash. Correct me if I'm wrong, but that's the last time I've heard it. But that pretty much wraps the show there. So thank you guys for listening to another main event review. Again, I put these out every single week on Tuesday mornings for myself. I think Monday mornings for overseas listeners. Monday night for overseas listeners just before Raw kicks off. So again, thank you very much for tuning in, and I hope you guys enjoy the rest of the week. And hopefully I can come back with a Backlash preview as well, because it's obviously the PLE. We're going to get Backlash straight after this. So we'll be reviewing Backlash and kind of my takes on that as well. So, yep, take care, guys.
Thanks for listening to the WWE Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss a show, or head to WWEpodcast.com. And for all of these shows ad-free, head over to patreon.com/WWE Podcast. Until then, we'll see you next time.